All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Pete Marsh. I'm one of the co-leads of CCL's Electrification Action Team, and I'm delighted to have you all joining us this afternoon for this webinar. This is the first of 4 webinars this month, July of 2024, because we're getting ready for Electrification Month. August will be CCL's first CCL-wide Electrification Month. I think everybody here is pretty familiar with that. And so CCL is going to be encouraging us, as they always do, to take certain actions, to have conversations. And a lot of the actions this month, next month, August, or that we'll be encouraging are about electrification, outreach, electrification fairs, tabling, you name it. And so we're going to focus on different aspects of getting ready for that for each of our webinars this month in July. And tonight, the first one, we figured we'd start with kind of a CCL core competency, which is tabling. And so we've got a little bit of info that some flyers that CCL has out and chapters are using. One new flyer that's draft. CCL still hasn't released it. National staff haven't, but we'll have a sneak peek at that tonight. And then we're going to talk about especially attention grabbers, dollhouses, spin the wheel games, etc., for attracting visitors to come by your booth and decide to spend a few minutes talking with you about whatever crazy thing you want to talk to them about. So that's tonight. Several of you are folks who I've already found photos that you have of dollhouses or other tabling resources on CCL Community. You'll recognize yourselves in some of our slides. There's a handful, the emails that a couple of folks sent me today, I did not get into our deck. I just got back from a job site, and so I'll try to bring them up from email or something, but I won't have a smooth flow with those. But we're going to go through a handful of these approaches to tabling, and then have Q&A and talk about
CCL meeting
what other people are already doing. Because I'm certain that there are things that other people are doing that we don't have in this deck yet. So they're the wealth. All right. Before I go further, I've already dropped into the chat once a link to the action tracker. I just dropped it again for the people who have joined recently. So please jump on the action tracker if you have a chance and let us know that you are here. And without further ado, any questions before I jump into the short deck we have prepared? No, don't see anything yet. Hello, Cooper. How are you?
Hi, everybody. Great to be here.
For those who don't know Cooper, he's a recent CCLer and an electrifier par excellence, and we'll hear a little bit more about him and his company later on. Okay, so let me share my screen. Could I get a thumbs up that you see electrifying tabling? Okay, got a thumbs up. Thank you very much. And we'll maximize that.
It's not in presentation mode, though. Yeah.
Coming up. Well, this is fun. Try reloading. Yes, I'm trying. Here we go. Okay. So I've already given a description of what's on the title slide here. And so here we go. We'll talk about, 3D gizmos and gadgets that we can use. I think a lot of people have already seen some of these, but maybe there's a few surprises in the deck. Display boards, and then some handouts. So first off, dollhouses. I saw this idea when it came up in CCL Community, I think in a group leaders forum and a couple other places over a year ago. And these are a lot of fun. So we're going to spin through and see what a few different chapters have done and how it can just serve to get attention from visitors and to spread the word about electrification. So this is Mark Friedman's chapter, San Diego. So we see that a lot of chapters have variations on the climate counseling and Lucy's therapy 5 cents. And this is the dollhouse. That's a pretty fast looking electric car down there. Mark, not meaning to put you on the spot, but is there anything you'd care to point out about this?
Just a couple of things. Well, it's pretty large dollhouse, and this was done at a local farmer's market, and it definitely brings in the kids. They come over, look at it, and that they usually drag their parents along, and then the discussion begins on the topic of electrification and other climate action. So it evoked a good response.
Okay. And Virginia, Meredith Haynes and Sarah Karush emphasized that exact same point, and we'll see theirs in a couple of minutes. But the way to a parent's heart is through their kids, right? So that's one good thing. Thank you. So this is from Elizabeth Strum in New York, and with some additional help from Sean Daig in a different part of New York. This is a dollhouse they've put together. You can see they've got tags, and I apologize for the low resolution on this picture, but they've used tags sort of like you would use for inventory or sales or something. And I think they've got handwritten on there some information about rebates. That's a pretty common approach. We'll see more of that in a minute. Elizabeth or Sean or anybody else from this chapter want to say any words about your dollhouse? No. Okay. So here's a closer up. You can see zoom in. And many of the dollhouses will see different ways that people have represented induction ranges, washers and dryers, the car that's allegedly electric over here, and each of them have this little information tag attached to it. We'll see a couple of other ways of approaching that. This is near New York, New Jersey. Nadine, I saw you on, and this I think is the dollhouse that your chapter put together. You used these funny shaped things that I know are plastic. These came from Sean Daig, who created 3D models and gave the model to a friend with a 3D printer. And lo and behold, out came an induction range and a heat pump and a heat pump water heater. For my heat pump water heater, I used a very high-tech toilet paper roll and taped a picture of a water heater on the front of it. And, we'll see a variety of other approaches things have done. Nadine, any wisdom you'd like to share with us?
Just that this, same thing. It's reasonably effective at drawing kids in, and then we have conversations with adults. A member of my chapter has a 3D printer and used Sean's, I guess, templates or whatever. So that worked out fine. And yeah, we also have solar panels on the top that were also 3D printed. So it works.
Nice. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And so here, I've mentioned it a little bit already, but here is, whoops, went ahead too far. Here is a picture of Sean and a little description of his models. You can see in this image, this website named tinkercad.com, and that's the actual website where any of us can go and download Sean's models. You do have to create an account, so you have to give them your email address. But my son and son-in-law both have 3D printers, and they've offered to print this stuff. I wound up doing it, like I said, a different way with our granddaughters doing arts and crafts projects. here, okay, looks like we're going down the East Coast. I didn't intentionally do that, but now we're arriving in Virginia. Do we have Meredith or Sarah or anyone else from the chapter with this cool dollhouse?
Hi, this is Meredith, and I would just add that we have, thanks to Sarah's early identification of all the benefits in the Inflation Reduction Act for homeowners, we were brainstorming early on this, and we used Buy Nothing groups and parent groups to get dollhouses, and we now have 3, and one of them lives in our County Supervisor's office when we don't need it for farmers market and other event tabling. So that's another thing to think about. Just keep making them. That's kind of a
that I've got to say might be the most awesome thing I've heard. I think at least one other chapter has managed to do the same thing, to get it into a public space for display when not tabling. And man, talk about a force multiplier and expanding the effectiveness of our dollhouses. That's great. And I think, Meredith, you also mentioned what's on the slide here, some possible themes for different times of year: a haunted house, the places you might be losing money. I loved that one. Or a gingerbread house. So there's a lot of variations you could use. Notice Meredith's chapter has this, and we'll see a zoomed in picture of theirs in a minute, but instead of having tags written out attached to different things in the house, they've just got a number in different parts of the house, and the number corresponds to something else. And I'm not finding it here. Here we go. So this view shows us clearly the inside of Meredith's house, and the point about Barbie's dream house. I love that. So here we see, number 3, that's an induction stove. Number 8 is looks like a refrigerator maybe. And so we'll jump ahead, and this is one of the most attractive decoders that I've seen. So congratulations to your graphics people, Meredith. And you can see they've got just a nicely presented list of what the appliances are and what kind of money is available in the Inflation Reduction Act. Y es también en español. So, and then jumping back a couple of slides, I skipped over this one. This is the first time we've seen one of these spin the wheels. We'll see a couple of more of those, but you can put all kinds of different either information or factoids or trivia questions or stump the chump questions, whatever you want to call it. But Meredith's chapter again has a Google Drive, and there's a link to it right down here, you can see. And by the way, I didn't put a QR code at the front of this deck. I apologize. I will pause at the end and make sure to drop the link into the chat, or if one of my co-leads wants to, has opportunity to grab the link and drop it into the chat, that would be great. And that way people will have access to all the links, and you can see where these showed up on CCL community, etc. So the here's several different documents that have questions and answers in them. So Meredith, that was my summary of your stuff. Anything that I butchered or other things that come to mind?
Nope.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much. This is a dollhouse that was presented a year ago at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Conference. Karen and Linda, I think, are both on the webinar today. I saw them. And so I don't have a ton of information about this one. I know that Karen, you sent me some stuff today, and I apologize, I just didn't get it melded into the deck. Can you cover for me and give a little summary of what you've got going on here?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was actually away, so I got Linda's message about getting back to you. So we were both busy. Yeah, so what we did is, we have the solar collector. And we have that tagged with what the rebate would be and incentives.
Mhm.
We also have on the roof of the house, we talk about weatherization. We have the stove, and we talk about the rebates. We managed through Etsy to get a really, really nice 3D printed model of a heat pump. They're no longer available, but that was actually quite nice. We have some wiring that we wrapped up to talk about, in improving your electrical wiring. Let me see what else. We talk about general weatherization. We talked about upgrades to windows, upgrades to doors. So we had a list of things. Linda, do you remember what else?
That's pretty complete. One thing we might want to think about adding is the heat pump water heater. So
Yeah.
glad to hear about that. I also want to point out the diagram that Karen provided there. You can see it. It's kind of like a on the table there.
Oh, on the table.
Pulled
Okay.
it over. It shows all the places where you need to seal up a house to make it weather tight. It's
So is that-
really
yeah.
I like
Oh.
that. And there's several different models out there for that, but I will take a note to add some of that weatherization info, because our website so far is a little bit light on weatherization and insulation. We talk about it a little bit. We haven't focused on it in any webinars much. Well, fantastic. Thank you. So let's see. Then we're back up to the Northeast in Massachusetts now. Linda Lancaster and her chapter put together this. This one, I think Linda told me that, or posted in community, that they bought this online. Some of the furniture is from Calico Critter, and other people have talked about using their kids' Calico Critter. They didn't quite say they stole it from their kids, but I'm just saying, you better have a good relation with your kid. Oh, that's right. This kit, this dollhouse kit came from Real Good Toys in Vermont. But they went to an art supply store and they got balsa cubes for the boxy looking appliances. They used shipping packaging for attic insulation. So you can see that in the back of the third story or the attic of this thing. They've got just wood blocks with photos or drawings glued to them for some of these things. They've got they glued together 2 fluorescent light starters for their heat pump water heater up there. So all kinds of ideas for ways to use what's on hand, try to avoid buying more plastic, and give it a little whimsical bent. All of those things are good. Here's one nice touch. They've got theirs on a Lazy Susan, which can help with display, I think. Okay, back down to Virginia, New River Valley. Elena, if you're on, feel free to tell us about your dollhouse. I think this is one that was repurposed from one of somebody's kids. We can see a nice clear display of insulation right under the roof line here. So that's a nice touch. We've got the written tags on this, and it looks like some kind of something suggesting probably a heat pump over in the corner there. And then, oh, there's the outdoor unit of a heat pump on the other side. All right, so that's it for dollhouses. If anybody has pictures that they want to share, we'll make time in a minute to do that. But now we're going to do spin the wheel. This is, and we've seen this wheel. This is Meredith's, and I apologize, I don't know the name of your collaborators there, Meredith. But this is a whoa! My presentation jumping ahead without my attempting to help it. Okay, so again, a great conversation starter. People seem to love to come up and spin this thing, and find out if it's going to be fun or not, or,
Oh, I forgot about that. Thank you.
So, so anyway, This one is not about electrification. This is a friend that I see at tabling events frequently here in my area. She's the head of a reuse group. So, one approach is to make these pizza slice things and then make them removable so that people can either turn them over or uncover an answer that's below the top pizza slice. This one, like many that I've seen, is store-bought, and so there's we could probably find these on Amazon or at craft stores or whatever. I have in my head a plan to make one with stuff I have lying around, old piece of plywood and some dowels, but I don't have any plans for that. Does anybody on the call, let me jump ahead and just ask, okay, so here's a framework for information about these. One approach you could do is instead of asking trivia questions for each appliance, you could provide some of the technical detail. How many amps do you need? Is that a 240 volt circuit? What other technical knowledge would I need? Or we could put on things about greenhouse gas reductions from phasing out a gas version of that appliance, or dollar savings and incentives. So those are all things that you could use. Here's some trivia questions that I started to put together, and you can see I'm not as far along as some of the other chapters that we've saw earlier, but you could use questions like this. Some of these questions are about zero carbon electricity sources, and here in CCL we could focus mostly on the end use devices. And yeah, I accidentally skipped that slide. So we could, you could ask questions like this, what percentage of US emissions are within the decision-making control of households, which Rewiring America tells us is a little over 40% when we include our transport in that. And so you can make trivia questions around this, and we will post a more complete set here. I think we all have experienced that when we start talking about electrifying end use machines, one of the first zinger questions, oh, I'm gonna gotcha, is, well, gee, you're gonna kill the grid if you electrify everything. And so one useful tool would be to provide trivia questions that help people realize, no, actually, we're not going to kill the grid. All right. Questions about dollhouses or spin the wheel before we move on?
I'd like to ask or add something.
Go.
I discovered that sometimes people would walk around our table because they saw the word climate on our banner. And so I came up with a new tactic of, as almost everybody walked by, I would ask them if they had done anything in regards to like energy efficiency for their home. And I found that gave me an like 99% ability to get people to walk up to the table because they all wanted to share with me what they had done in their home. And then I could get them in conversation about the dollhouse.
Gotcha. Good. Thank you, Lisa. And for those who don't know, Lisa's state coordinator in Florida and a group leader in the Space Coast area, Cape Canaveral area. And she's had a lot of experience with the whole politicization aspect of this. So that's why she brought that point up. And that's a great idea. And, any chapter is welcome to adapt the signage and, feature the words climate more or less prominently or not at all, and just talk about electrification, healthier, cleaner, lower cost. Yeah, Meredith.
I guess this is an appropriate point to mention that in partnership with a regional climate group, we've been tabling there and with a pledge to plug in, which is also a conversation starter in the same way. And you're asking people to pledge the next time that they're replacing an appliance to consider swapping out a fuel burning one for an electric one. And so you get their contact information, and then we have been able to invite them to what we call electrification showcase, where a homeowner is opening their home and showing really some of this is what I've done steps is retrofitting. So it's another way to think about having a way to engage people.
Sure.
Using a pledge.
And that's with a different nonprofit organization that's local to your area?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And we're seeing a bunch of that. I know of a couple of dozen chapters at least and states that are doing similar types of things. And many of you all on here have told me about those and what you're doing. And I think it's pretty common. And I think it's becoming increasingly common and valuable with electrification, because so much of the action there is at the state and local level. So that's a great approach. And I like the term electrification showcase. In a few slides, we'll talk a little bit more about all electric home tours, but I think you've got a simpler and nicer term there. Okay, good. I'll jump back into the presentation and we'll continue on. He says, and okay. So we should see other 3D tabling resources. Somebody yell out if you don't. And now there's a couple of less common gadgets here. This is my chapter's tabling, some of our tabling apparatus. And over here in the rear right-hand corner, you can see an induction hob, which is the British name for a portable cooktop. This thing is $60 from a local big box store or the mail order people. And I take it with me to nearly every tabling event. I happen to have a big battery that you can see down here under the table. This is like 25 or 30 pounds. It's the size of a small fat briefcase, and it's 1 kilowatt hour, but it would power this induction stove all day long. It'll power my laptop for 2 or 3 days, that kind of thing. So I love to go out there, and I'm bummed that in this picture, I don't have one of my common tricks. I'll put a dollar bill or a $10 bill in between the pot and the hob and boil water and use that to reinforce the point that, man, this is so much safer than gas, because your grandkids and kids aren't going to burn themselves on it. And then I have a water bottle here that I sometimes drink some and sometimes refill my pan of boiling. I've toyed with the idea of cooking, bacon or something other smelly and real tractor, but I haven't done that yet, partly because many of our tabling events have some kind of restrictions on cooking and passing out food, right? And you want to be more careful about that. So as much as I love the idea of using that, I haven't been able to deploy it yet. The silly pink old telephone is one I use when I'm talking about transitions. I talk about the energy transition, and gee, we've all been through transitions in our lives, haven't we? And I put my cell phone next to it and say, this induction cooking is much closer to what you're used to with gas than anything else. So here's a close-up of the induction hob. You can also pull the pot away and let people put their hand right down on it. They will not burn themselves. It'll be a little bit warm, but it's not going to burn them. This is one that I just rediscovered in Morristown. They have, Stefano has working solar panels and working wind turbines to show off. So that's on the energy supply side, not the end use, but solar panels for sure are installed on what, close to 10% of single family residences in California and increasing penetration elsewhere as well. Wind, not so much. Stefano or anyone else from that chapter have care to say anything about this?
Well,
Nothing heard,
wind
okay.
energy is a big deal in New Jersey, so we may display that. We've got a lot of issues about offshore wind and potential benefit of it here.
Yes, yeah, and there's a ton of disinformation, just like the entire rest of the energy transition. Cooper, thank you for the info on the confirming that we won't kill the grid. And oh, Lisa's got a rocket rattling her house a few minutes ago, right now, 1 minute ago. Okay, so I'm just trying to keep an eye on the chat. I do note that we had a couple of requests earlier on. Let's see, Lisa, if you're still on, you offered to talk about your experience with a dollhouse in Space Coast, and this is a good time to pause and let other people talk also. So let me, I think I'm to the end of my 3D resources. Yeah, so I'm going to stop sharing again, and let's just take a minute and chat about what I didn't get into the deck.
Like I did, the one thing I really wanted to share was what I already said, was that, you know, the fact that it was not only a way to get kids, but to get adults, you know, to come over and to try to brag about how they had found a way to save money with their home. And you also pointed out my reasoning for that of not everybody was interested in talking about the climate, but we can still get them interested in the health and saving money aspects of electrification.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, good. Anything else? Yeah, Barbara?
I don't have an induction plate, and we just haven't had electricity. And so I just bring 2 pots and pans, one copper and one magnetic, and fridge magnets. And they're sitting there and people go, what's that for? And so it's a real simple, low budget way to just start the conversation about stoves and electric and induction and magnetism and all that.
And just to continue the thread, that anything that will be cute and attractive to kids is useful for this. I take fridge magnets too, instead of a textbook school magnet. And, you know, whether it's the granddaughter's bumblebees or something, it's a goofy magnet to drive home that point. Yeah. Okay. What else? Matt.
Hey, folks. Yeah, dollhouses work nicely. You can pick them up at garage sales. I would have something for the kids to do once they come over. Give them something to distract them. Or I like what Virginia did with theirs. I guess giving the kids something to do to look up the cost savings that then they could pass on to the adults in attendance. That's pretty brilliant. We might try that when I wrote that down. Things will wander off too. So if you have you know, a heat pump that's really cool looking, or a heat pump water heater, that you have to watch the little kiddos. They may just wander off with those things. So.
Yep. Okay, good. Scribbled some notes. Thank you. What else? Okay, so we're just past the bottom of the hour, creeping around to 2/3, and let's see. We will. Okay, I'll go ahead and reshare and we'll finish the rest of that. The other resources that I had. Okay, so this next part, we're shifting from 3-dimensional to 2-dimensional. So flyers, electrification plans, handouts. I think most of us are familiar with this. This is the flyer, both a full page, just a flyer. There's the fact sheet on the right-hand side, and then the quarter page, smaller version in the center. Those are all linked at this link here and in CCL community. So probably many of us have used those. In addition, in Illinois, Matt's chapter has been using the electrification plan or guide from Rewiring America, and that's what we can see on the right-hand side here. Again, the image is not super crisp, but there's a link on the slide where you can go and get Rewiring America's digital guide, and there's a few other resources there as well. This is their chapters list of goodies. Matt, anything else to mention?
Yeah, I would just say Rewiring America continues to up their game. They've got a full, planner that you could get started with now. So if we do nothing else, we direct people to the Rewiring America, start your own plan site.
Yeah, fantastic. And the speaking of that, is it next week? Either next Monday or the following Monday, we're going to be talking about personal electrification planners. I think that's next week, right, Mark? Mark has done a little bit of a deep dive into some of those and will be showing us how they work, both Rewiring America's, 2 others from other nonprofit groups, and also one from a commercial outfit who I mentioned at the top of the call. Quit Carbon is a fun name and an excellent company. And the CEO and founder is with us, Cooper Marcus. Cooper, do you want to take half a minute or a minute and tell us a little bit about how Quit Carbon helps in this game?
Sure thing. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. Quit Carbon is a Energy Star partner, a public benefit corporation, soon to be a B Corp, and a good friend of CCL and many other nonprofits in the space. We're a mission-driven organization that currently serves California, and we look forward to serving other states. And we provide live expert assistance with home electrification, in addition to an even more detailed and specific version of a home electrification plan like you'll get from Rewiring America. One of the big differences is that we also analyze utility bill usage. So we're looking at a home's gas and electricity usage in the past and projecting it forward to help people understand what sort of electrification they might want to do and how much they might save by doing it. Our services are entirely free. We're funded by the U.S. Department of Energy, by cities, counties, utilities, and by contractors who pay us for our expertise in helping them navigate the clean energy transition, because it's hard for them too. We would welcome any and all referrals of folks in California. And if people from outside of California visit us, we don't leave them empty-handed. We let them know that we'll be in touch when we're able to help them in the future. So thanks for having us and for sending folks our way. We'd love to help.
Yeah, thanks for that, Cooper. And it takes all of us rowing in the same direction to do this. So really respect and appreciate what you all are doing. I've seen them at multiple different green building expos and tabling events and yada yada. So let's see. I think that's enough on this. So we're going to go into detail on personal electrification plans next week. Let's see. Mark, do you want to take a minute and give a sneak preview of that, or just we can leave everybody hanging and say, tune in, same bat channel next time?
I think you covered it pretty well.
Okay.
Gave a preview. I'm hoping that Cooper will be able to join us, talk a little bit more in depth about his next week. And if we're lucky, maybe someone from Rewiring America can talk about what they offer, which is a bit different. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but I think we'll leave it till next week to show anything.
Sounds good. And speaking of, I know Bob Sewells from Rewiring was on the call with us a little bit earlier. Bob, if you're still here, wave hello.
Hey, Pete, I'm here.
All right, fantastic. Oh, there you go. I see the yellow box. Oh, look, I love the background with that's an electric car charging at an RV park or something, right?
At Big Bend, Texas.
Love it. Okay.
So I'll just mention the other thing that Rewiring America is doing is their electric coach course. That's good in-depth for training for people who want to learn how to coach people on how to electrify. So that's another good thing that's out there.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. And we will be talking more about that probably next week. I have completed the electrification coach course, but I won't call myself a graduate yet because my capstone project is still pending. And
Come on, Pete, get that project done.
Bob's
Come on.
giving me the hairy eyeball there. That's one of your all's big bugaboos, is trying to get people to finish up our projects.
Yes.
And in my case, I've got my project picked out, but my client is moving slowly. So, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
All right. So, Bob, I'll follow up with you. I've had you on my list to call for a week, but would love to chat with you about joining us and talking a little bit more about electrification coaches next time.
Yeah, just send me an email.
Will do. All right. So, let's see that. The last thing of what's coming up, we talked a little earlier about electrification showcase, and I liked that word from Meredith. At the end of the month, July 29th, that webinar is going to focus on 3 variations on electrification showcase. There are at least 7 or 8 CCL chapters I know of who have already hosted full-on electrification fairs. They are the host of a tabling event with 10 or 20 or 40 exhibitors, from heat pump installers to plumbers for heat pump water heaters, to electric vehicles, to efficiency things. So that's one great outreach approach. There's also the electric home tours, which Meredith and her chapter have anointed as showcases, which I love. And then a third variation we're going to talk about on the 29th in more detail is induction meal parties. And I'm plagiarizing this idea from another one of our nonprofit partners, the Switch is On, which is a project of the Building Decarbonization Coalition, which operates in California and a couple of other states now. And they, if you send them an email or fill out a web form, whichever it is, and say, hey, I'm going to host a meal party and show off my induction stove or my induction portable cooktop, they'll send you a gift card for $150 to help cover the food and to incentivize us all to do that. So that probably is only, the gift card is only in the territories they cover. But, I love the concept. Induction meal parties are the new Tupperware parties, right? And a person that I collaborate with sometimes near me is, in 2 weeks, she's going to host a political fundraiser for her political party of choice and simultaneously make it an induction meal party. So that's, you can combine multiple of these. All right. So let me check the time, about a quarter of an hour left. We've covered most of our material. I'll jump back into the 2D resources, and then we'll finish with open mic. So this is the sneak peek. This is no, I'm sorry, the sneak peek is not here yet. That's next slide. This is a nice summary of the Inflation Reduction Act that's on CCL Community. This was prepared by Steffi Rausch in North Carolina. Many of us know and love Steffi and all her get out and go get things done approach. And so there's a nice summary that you can, you could either put a QR code on it or, you know, print it as flyers to take away. So that's this one. And then on the right-hand side, some chapters, either on this flyer or one of the ones we saw earlier, they print some local information and or additional detail. This chapter in Pennsylvania State College, Sylvia's chapter put together several different links and QR codes for info about heat pumps, Rewiring America, and their local utility. So that's another great approach. Here's the sneak peek. This flyer, Tony Cerna started drafting this before he left us last month. And I love the content on here because it, you know, starts with the headline. It gets very specific. Swap these out and go electric. Make your plan today. And don't miss out on money from the government. And the you can put referrals on there. This one, this 833 number is part of a plan that CCL is working on for Electrification Month, but it's not fully fleshed out yet. So I'm not going to dive in. But basically, we've got another nonprofit partner that will help with information. So that's what that's about. And you can put stuff on here. So you see, I've already mentioned these two groups, a nonprofit and a for-profit with switches on and quit carbon. So you can put those on the back of things. And that is it for the slide deck. So I'll stop sharing and check the chat and give us all the rest of the good ideas. I'm not believing that this group is shy, so let's go. Come on. Matt.
Hey folks, let me start my video so you can see my pretty bald head. There we go. Yeah, we've just done a couple of presentations on the IRA for electrification at libraries. They seem to be pretty well attended. You get them publicized, folks will come. And we're just real clear about the differences. When we do this, we're real clear about the difference between tax rebates and, or the rebates and the tax credit. So rebates are not available in most states yet. The states are going to run those programs. There's just a handful maybe that have started theirs. You happen to know, Pete, which those are?
I think so far it's just New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
New York. Yeah. Okay.
There's a half a dozen who are any day now, but that's really disappointing. We're
it'd been a little slower than I'd hoped.
Yeah, we're a month away from 2 years.
But when we do this, we go all the way through the act and every opportunity, and we point out which one is available now as a tax credit and which one is we're waiting for the state to figure out how to do rebates. But that's just that's kind of how we roll when we do a presentation on electrification.
And Dana, thank you. Dana Nucitelli is with us, and he chatted that New York is formally started. 3 others coming soon: Hawaii, New Mexico, California. So thanks. Let's see. And Cooper says many rebates are available that preceded in quite a few states. Yes. So states, utilities, regional energy networks. I have a deck. I will link to it in the show notes from tonight. At when CCL Ventura County did an electrification fair in January, they asked me to focus on incentives. And so I talked about the Inflation Reduction Act. I talked about the current best database for finding incentives nationwide, which Cooper was alluding to, it's called Desire, DSIRE, and that's the database of state incentives for renewable energy, good acronym, and it's run by North Carolina State University. It's been around for a decade plus, and is a great way to find sort of a laundry list, not necessarily the best presented list, but a list of incentives that might be available for your zip code. And one that's coming is going to be that on steroids. That's called the NODE Collective, the National Open Source Data Environment for Electrification. And North Carolina State, with their Desire database, is one of about a half a dozen participants in that. And that's going to be Rocky Mountain Institute, Building Decarb Coalition, and a couple of other really class organizations. They're going to try to up the game of how do we find incentives, because it can be bewildering. So that's a good resource to look out for soon. What else? I saw a couple more things go by in chat. Feel free to pipe up. Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Well, I'll just put in a plug for the showcases that Meredith talked about. She actually helped me organize one at my house a couple weeks ago. We had a great turnout. We had the 3 of the organizations in the area all co-sponsor it to get attendance. And it was surprisingly effective with people. A lot of people who didn't know anything about heat pumps and got to see one in person. My house is now fully electrified. Induction ranges, of course, are always a big crowd pleaser. And one of the points we hit that I think kind of resonated across the board in terms of the ideological or political spectrum was the health benefits of getting, stopping burning fossil fuels inside our homes. Resonated with a lot of people. So I've just put in a plug for the showcases, because there's nothing like just seeing it in person and talking to a neighbor or someone in your area about it, rather than just somebody from outside.
Fantastic. Thank you. I love that. And here's a point. I'm going to guess that many of us are familiar with the health benefits of getting gas out of our homes, but there are several recent studies that conclude that kids who grow up in homes with gas cooking are a little over 40% more likely to have asthma than kids who don't. And looked at it differently, somewhere around 12 or 13% of asthma cases in the United States are attributable to gas cooking. So, and I was with my mid-30s daughter a couple of days ago, and she's a science major. She majored in kinesiology, almost went into either physical therapy or medicine as a career. So she's well versed in science and biological and life sciences. But Matt, take care. Good to see you. Thanks. She was not aware of all the different nasty stuff that comes off of a cook stove. She said, gee, it's just carbon monoxide, right? Isn't that the bad one? I said, yeah, and 40 of its friends. So that kind of set her on her heels. Yeah, Meredith.
I just pressed mute multiple times. Just following on Bob's comment about what resonated with people is also for me saying that I did the weatherization recommended by my home energy audit, and the comfort improvement alone was worth it. That bedroom that was always too hot is now great. So a lot of people have commented that yes, they have a part of their house that is not comfortable.
That's a really, really good point. And, for those of us who do those showcases, you could put a big red sign on the door. I've just thought of another art project for my granddaughters. It's great having that resource available. But yeah, cold and drafty or whatever. Okay.
The point about that both of those resonate with is that you can't solve the climate crisis with one house, but you can improve your own home in terms of the air pollution in your own home or the comfort issues in your own home. So one person can do that.
Yes, that's great. Thank you. What else? Oh man, we got 3 minutes to go here, and I hate to run out of time, run out of things to say before the end of the hour. Usually we're running over. Lisa dropped something in chat. Oh, Lisa's got a good link to the Scientific American article on gas stoves. Thank you. Well, fantastic. So yeah, this week was all about sort of, again, that core competency of tabling for all of us CCLers. Next week, we'll do personal electrification planners and a couple of different approaches to that. The week after that, July 22nd, Steffi Rausch, and I don't think I see Steffi. Steffi, if you're here, yell out. I know she had a conflict. Steffi is going to present on an approach she's been taking to getting out, finding an introduction to a city staffer or a city elected official in small rural towns near her in Western North Carolina, and going in and saying, hey, I can help you save some money and maybe even find some money. And here's how to do it. And she describes, writing a plan that will comport with the guidance for the Inflation Reduction Act, or just because the operating costs are so much lower in almost all cases, it simply makes economic sense to do it even separate from the incentives. But she's had real success in a pretty conservative area. And so for all of us who are in such an area, that's a great session to join in on July 22nd. And then the end of the month will be more about electrification fairs, home tours, etc. That's all I've got. Thank you so much, everybody. And, I've got a few minutes so people can hang around and ask questions if you want to. If you haven't already clicked that link for the electrification planner, please jump on that. And I'll see, I should be able to, yeah, there it is. I just dropped it into the chat again. And yeah, really appreciate you all being members of the action team and committed to all the things we're trying to do as an organization in CCL. So thanks to all of you for everything you do.
Thanks, Pete.
You
Thanks,
bet.
bye.
Take care.
Thank you. It's great.